Welcome back to the Mike Hour. I'm holding my phone here because my stand is missing, and the old wedge it between the windshield and dashboard trick wasn't working because every time I hit an incline in the road and accelerated the smallest bit, the phone would smack down on its face and I would have to yell and cry. I don't like the way people take for granted the idea that when they think about anything, they are just sentient forms, purely rational, separate from their body beings. That's not true. That's not how anything truly works. And you don't perceive things that way. You perceive things through your human body. And the only perceptions that matter are through the human body. This has practical applications. I'm not just talking in like hippie, book cope, bookoid, book sell, moron speak, a 110 IQ, mommy's smart boy speak. This is actually real. For example, I was speaking with my sax mentor about the keys in music. In Western music, sorry, I don't mean to offend any Indian people watching. In Western music, we have 12 keys. And, well, we have 12 notes. There are a lot of keys, but we have 12 major keys, for example. Now, in these major keys, every note bears the same relative relationship to every other note. However, each note, each key, bears its own transcendent character. And what I mean when I say that is they all have their own quality. So E flat relative to F is a whole step, and C relative to D is a whole step. That does not mean that in a vacuum C is the same as F or E flat and D is the same as F. They're not. To say something like that would be to take yourself from your body and to remove all reference point, no size, no distance, no concept of anything. Then you could finally say, yes, they're the same. But that's not the world we live in, and that never will be. That's an idiotic way of thinking. It's this platonic world of ideals, retardation that people partake in, where they go, well, in isolation, it's like this. In isolation, it wouldn't exist the way that you know it, would it? It's the same thing. When you have something like a key in music, when you have something like a note in music, it sits somewhere in your anatomy. And when I say that, I don't mean like in your chakras or whatever dog shit some new age moron would say. I mean in your voice, in your hearing. You are tuned to hear a certain frequency range with contours of peaks and valleys all across this range. With peaks and valleys in your sensitivity to these frequencies across your hearing range. When you speak, there's a comfortable place to speak. That's your natural speaking voice. When you sing, there's a comfortable place to sing. There's a comfortable key in which you can sing. When you sing, you have a range of however many octaves. Probably not many. There are harder places to sing because the octave, the key might fall on the high and low ends, because remember, there's more than one key in a key. There's more than one octave in a key. The key might fall a little high or a little low, no matter where you put it, and that can make for an uncomfortable singing situation. So, because you are a human, and because you have anatomy, and because most humans are roughly the same size, especially amongst men, and especially amongst women, though men and women are quite close in size, all things considered, and their voices are also quite close, all things considered. these things have their own qualia to them, their own transcendent qualities of sound. C major, so a music theorist might say C is just a note on its own. It doesn't sound like anything. It sounds like C. But that's not true. They would say C sounds like C until you give it other notes. Then it means something. And to that I say I agree in part. But there are certain keys that sound funky and certain keys that sound elementary. For example, C might sound elementary. This, you could argue, is because, the piano, all the white keys are C, and it's like, it's a Western music, it's a cultural ingrain, and it has nothing to do with the natural world. But that's not true. It sits somewhere in your voice. C has a quality to it. C sounds like that. It will always sound like that. E flat will always sound like that. It will never not sound like that. So, you cannot just pretend that you don't have, when you're thinking, I'm going to get to the point here, because I'm kind of talking through this as I go. I'm figuring this out as I speak about it. The underlying issue, or this is a symptom of an underlying issue, which is people assume when they think that they're formless, detached, rational things. That's not true. That's never true. You're a person. All of your perception is based on being a person. You cannot perceive things without your body. So you must have some bias, if you want to call it that. I think that's naive to call it bias, given the way that we think about bias today as a negative thing. The only thing that matters is that thing that we can perceive as humans. And you cannot detach yourself from the situation to analyze it in terms of your humanity. The only reason you can perceive the situation is because of your humanity. It's the same thing as when people say things like, if birds had a god, it would be a bird god. It would look like a bird and not like a person. Birds don't have a god because they're birds. Their perception is that of a bird, not of a person. But as people, we attribute rationality, so to speak, because I don't think that's exactly what it is. But we attribute this objective rationality, this objective reality to things, and take it for granted. People think that's a smart question. What would God look like if birds had a god? That's not a real question, because birds can't have a god. They're birds. It's a sweeping issue with the way people tend to think. And I'll leave it at that. I won't try to elaborate anymore. I'll let you sit with that and let it marinate. Yeah, that's that. You have a lovely day. You have a lovely night, whatever you're doing. Bye-bye.